Okay, this is the first video. We're going to define a bunch of terms, so go ahead and please copy this down. First, complementary angles. Complementary angles add to 90 degrees. Okay, an example of this looks like this, where we have a 90-degree angle and we have two angles, angle 1 and angle 2 add to be 90 degrees. Okay, a second example, maybe there's three angles that add to be 90. So we have a 90-degree angle, here's angle 1, here's angle 2, here's angle 3, and this is angle 4. Right? Together, those four angles are complementary. Okay? So that's complementary angles. Next is supplementary angles. Supplementary angles add to 180 degrees. Okay, an example of this is on a straight line here. If we had maybe three angles, we'll call this angle 1. We'll call this angle 2. And angle 3, notice they add to 180 degrees, so they're supplementary. Okay, a second example, maybe there's only two angles, right? Maybe angle 1 and angle 2. Those are also supplementary. Okay, that's supplementary angles. Linear pair of angles. A linear pair is two angles that are supplementary. Okay, let's give you an example of this. So an example of this, if we had two angles, 1 and 2, notice that's supplementary. It's also, a linear pair. Okay? And the examples on this are limited. Let's give you a second example. Maybe it looks something like this. Right? Angle 1 and angle 2 are supplementary. And also linear pair. Okay, so that's that. Next, vertical angles. Let me get rid of this. Okay. Vertical angles are on, they're opposites. Oops, OPPO. Oops, spelled that wrong. Let me clear the ink. Opposite sides. Opposite sides of an X. Okay, so an example of this, say you had one line that was like that, and you had another line intersecting it. Okay, angle 1 and angle 2 are vertical. Okay, so we say angle 1 and angle 2 are vertical. Cool. We can also talk about this angle here. Let's give you a second example. Let's give that the same intersection point here. What about 3 and 4? Right? Notice that angle 3 and angle 4 are vertical. Okay? So that's that. I will tell you vertical angles are equal, so we can label them congruent. Right? But that's for another lesson. Okay, next up. Next up is a right triangle. A right triangle has one 90-degree angle in the triangle. Okay, so it looks like this, for example, or this is 90 degrees, and maybe this is 30 and maybe this is 60. Okay, another example is something like this. Maybe you have your right triangle, but maybe this is only 20, this is 90, right? And then this is 70. Make sense? Okay, next up, acute triangle. Acute triangle is all angles less than 90. Okay, so what we're talking about here is something like this. For example, this triangle right here, where, you know, our first angle, let's say that's 65. Let's say this next angle is 75, and this angle is 40. Right? Notice they're all less than 90. Okay, makes sense? Next example is an obtuse triangle. This is one angle greater than 90 degrees. Okay, so here we have something like this. Okay, this is our example. And maybe this is 120. Maybe this is, let's make this 20. You know, so then this one would have to be, 40 degrees. Make sense? Right, so this angle right here, this 120 degree angle, makes it obtuse. Okay, a couple more here, 3 more terms. Scalene is no sides congruent. Okay, an example of this, something that looks like this. You know, maybe you have this triangle where this is 7 feet, maybe this is 8 feet, and this is 10 feet, right? None of them are the same, so it's a scalene triangle. Okay, next is an isosceles triangle. An isosceles triangle has, so I'm going to back up a second, has 2 sides congruent. Okay, and so an example of this is something like this. Maybe you have this triangle, okay, where this is 7 feet and this is also 7 feet. And this, maybe let's say this has got to be less than 7, or in this case, so 6 feet. So we can say that these guys are congruent, so it's isosceles. Okay, one other thing about isosceles triangles, the base angles, I'm going to mark this in a different color. The base angles are equal. Do you see that? So this angle here equals this angle here. Okay. Lastly is an equilateral triangle. An equilateral triangle is all sides and angles congruent. Okay, so as an example here, you know, there's really, all the angles are going to be 60. So 60, 60, and 60. And then let's say maybe this is 7 feet, 7 feet, and 7 feet. Okay, so that is it. Thanks for watching.